Mark chapter 1 verse 40. A man with leprosy came and knelt in front of Jesus, begging to be healed. If you want to, you can make me well again, he said. Moved with pity, Jesus touched him. I want to, he said, be healed. Instantly the leprosy disappeared, the man was healed. Then Jesus sent him on his way and told him sternly, go right over to the priest and let him examine you. Don't talk to anyone along the way. Take along the offering required in the law of Moses for those who have been healed of leprosy, so everyone will have proof of your healing. But as the man went on his way, he spread the news, telling everyone what had happened to him. As a result, such crowds soon surrounded Jesus that he couldn't enter a town anywhere publicly. He had to stay out in the secluded places, and people from everywhere came to him there. So in the course of chapter 1, you've got a kind of incremental development of the authority of Jesus and the development of the healings. They seem to sort of start small and then gather momentum. And if that's right, then this occasion of healing a leper is the climax of the chapter. Because leprosy wasn't a normal disease. It was really like a kind of living death. In which case this could be construed as a kind of resurrection, that you're bringing somebody back from the dead, or that you're bringing somebody from the total exclusion from society and bringing them right back into society. All those things are involved in it. The thing about leprosy was that it was practically incurable. And the second thing was it demanded exclusion. It was untreatable and you became untouchable. You know those kind of pictures of them saying unclean, unclean, or carrying a bell so people would keep away from them. And the appearance of a leper then as now was and is so terrible, so awful, you know, chunks of the body falling away and stuff, that it's been described as the most terrible physical calamity of the ancient world. The element of pollution wasn't just physical, it was moral. You know how the Jews had their restrictions about contact with, you know, whether somebody could come to worship, and obviously a leper couldn't because worship was communal. And so lepers were excluded from worship, let alone normal society with the other people. Now if you take Mark's gospel without looking at the other ones, what Jesus had done so far doesn't give you reason to suppose that he would or could heal this man. And yet you've got this, as I say, this development, this incremental nature of the development of Jesus' authority over different issues, over types of sickness. And also, in chapter 1, it's a statement of kingdom. Here's the question: how big is the kingdom? How authoritative, how powerful is God in Jesus? What can't he do? So there's something new here, something profound is happening. And Jesus reaches out and touches the untouchable. That's almost a kind of awe-inspiring moment. He touches the man who cannot be touched. He goes over the line of public propriety. He does what is undoable. He thinks what is unthinkable. He touches the untouchable. And he treats the untreatable. If you will, you can. Now there's something a bit more here, because there's 2 or 3 little Greek words that tend to suggest that something deeper is going on. It says Jesus was moved with pity in verse 41. And in verse 43, he told the man sternly to, be quiet and not tell anybody, but to go to the priest and offer the sacrifice. And then it says he sent him out, and it uses that word ekbalo, which is what the Spirit did to him. The Spirit sent him out into the wilderness to be tempted, and now Jesus sends the man out. But it means threw him out. It's almost violent word. And it almost suggests a kind of anger. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? What does that mean? I guess the top level of this was simply that he did not want, listen carefully, he didn't want the celebrity of an astonishing miracle to clutter up the proclamation of the good news, as it in fact did, if you read verse 45. It slowed him down. This miracle slowed Jesus' proclamation down. So, very simply, where does God call me and you, in response to this text to live our lives? The first thing is he calls us to step over the line. And you think of the example of someone like Mother Teresa. He calls me to step over the line, to touch the untouchable, to be moved with pity. If you can, you will. And remember this the next time. I guess I'm good at passing by people who are selling me a big issue, but my wife is not. She is incapable of passing any fraud with a box, any con man. She just stands there moved with pity. And my bank account, that comes into the question as well. But God calls me to be moved with pity, to be stirred and to touch the untouchable, and to believe that God in me can treat the untreatable. And to ask the question, what can't God do in me? It's a powerful question, isn't it? One more thing. You see in this little snippet a little conflict between what people want and what God wants to give them. So be cautious. Even the display of the miraculous may distort the proclamation of the gospel. I want to ask you this. Is the miracle of healing the only thing that God wants to give? If you were blind or if you were leprous, it might seem so. But the next story in Mark, in chapter 2, bears this out much more. God might consider even healing not quite enough. Think about it. Talk to you later. God bless.